Woo! Made it out to the beach, guys. I don't know if you can see in this sand behind me, but it looks like the desert where you have the wind whipping across the sand and it makes these formations in the sand like that. And according to the weather, it's 31-mile-an-hour winds out here right now. I think it's kind of on and off. It picks up and you get these gusts kind of like that just blew through here. Hopefully my microphone's doing its job because it's designed to be in these high wind situations. The ocean is not crazy, not like when we get a hurricane really passing by, considering this is on the other side of the state. So, but you can kind of see the direction that it's coming in. You know, you get this swirl from the hurricane. The waves are coming in that swirl direction that's coming in from the southeast like that. I wanted to bring you guys out here so you can see what's going on. And I think we got the worst of it already yesterday with this hurricane. So probably today it's just going to be a lot more wind. Most of the rain I think is already passed. It's going to be moving into the more northern part of the state. So overall for us it really wasn't that bad here in Miami, luckily. So I hope everybody, all my Florida West Coast neighbors are doing okay over there. I know you guys got hit really hard, so if you live over there, let me know how you're doing. Now you guys know I love talking about remote work, and I just had to bring this up, that this has to be the star of the video because more employees now are afraid that they're going to be the first ones to be laid off as the recession gets worse and more companies start doing these layoffs. And the funny thing is, they might actually be right, because according to a recent survey, 78% of remote workers are concerned about this right now. And some people are even starting to get threats that if they don't come back into the office, like we're seeing a lot of these come back to the office requests happening, then they're worried that they might actually get canned first. So basically this concern comes from something that's called proximity bias. And I never heard of this term until I read this article. And basically what it means is when the boss doesn't see you in the office, then they're going to be less likely to want to keep you around. So the people that they see at the office every day, they're the ones that will probably be saved first, supposedly. And they're basically going to be getting the preferential treatment and probably get to keep their job longer than somebody who never comes into the office. So, but according to this survey, it says that 68% of these remote workers are saying that their manager views people who come into the office full-time as more productive than people who work remotely. And even though studies have showed that this is not actually true. So a lot of you guys think I'm picking on remote workers. Sometimes I'm not. I just like talking about it because it's an interesting trend in the workplace that really got ramped up during the pandemic. And now we're starting to see a little bit of a reversal of that. So I'm curious to know how you guys, my viewers, are being affected by this thing. Now check this out, guys. This is the old Duville Hotel. I did a video about this place a while ago showing what's going to happen when they start tearing it down. And now they actually are starting to demolish this place. So I want to give you guys some quick footage of this because it's kind of interesting. They're like just in the beginning phases of starting to tear this place down. They got bulldozers out here right now, starting to do the smaller part of the building. And then once they're done with this small part, supposedly, they're supposed to implode the big tower right there. So look at all that. And they've been working during this hurricane. They haven't stopped at all, actually. Anyways, one of my viewers actually wrote me this morning, coincidentally, because I was planning a story on this anyhow. And she said that she recently just lost her job of 7.5 years. She was working for this company, working remotely. And the reason they let her go was this. She said she worked for Westcor, which is in Maitland, Florida. And they laid off a lot of people, she said. And she got laid off because just a lack of work volume. There's just not enough going on at the company. Not a big surprise considering that the economy is completely falling apart right now and everything's slowing down due to the rising cost of everything. So that's not really a shocker. And apparently there was another firm similar to hers called PropLogix in Sarasota, Florida, and they recently laid off another 40 people as well. So you might say, well, 40 people is not a lot. You know, another 40, 50 here and there is not a lot of people. A lot of people still have jobs. Yeah, that's true. But a lot of people are complaining that the type of jobs that are available out there are entry-level positions, blue-collar positions that people don't want to do. So, you know, the government likes to tout all these gains in jobs that are happening this year, and unemployment's still low, but that doesn't really help if nobody wants the jobs that are out there, probably because you can't even live off the wages that are being paid on a lot of these entry-level positions. That's my guess. So people would rather sit home on unemployment and wait for a better opportunity or figure something else out, drive Uber, whatever, than take a lot of these entry-level jobs. That's my guess at what's going on. But if you guys are experiencing this, if you're experiencing your office telling you you have to come back, or you're going to be first on the chopping block, or you're seeing people who aren't coming into the office and you are one who goes in getting fired as well, let me know, guys. Let everybody know, because it's important for people to read these comments and see what's going on with others out there. So that way, if you're in this situation, you can get a better idea of what might be coming next for you. Now, when Americans hear stories about the dollar surging and the value of the dollar going up, everybody gets all excited and happy about it. And there are some advantages to this, but there also are some disadvantages as well. And it might sound kind of counterintuitive that the value of the dollar is going up during periods of high inflation, but without getting into all the nitty-gritty details of this, basically, guys, because the dollar is the reserve currency of the world, and many important commodities, the biggest one being oil, are traded in dollars for the most part across the world, that's what keeps the value of the dollar so high. And in times of high inflation like this, because it's a global phenomenon, it's because all these countries across the world are experiencing inflation, they would still rather have US dollars than their local currency, because it's just being devalued so much against the dollar because the dollar's been going up so much. This is getting to the point where the dollar versus the British pound has been the highest that it's ever been. It's almost equal. So, and that's never happened before in history. So we're now starting to see things happen in the economy right now that are completely new, guys. This is uncharted territory. So we don't know what the long-term consequences of something like this could end up being, and how it's going to affect trade across the world and the global economy in general. This is another thing we're going to have to pay attention to. I've never really talked about this on the channel, but it's something that everybody should be aware of, because it might seem like a great thing that the dollar's up, because there are some advantages, right? Like this. If you're a business that imports goods from other countries, for example, and you pay in dollars, this is great news for you, because now it's cheaper to gather your imports from other countries. If you're a traveler right now, if you're an American looking to travel overseas to other countries, the exchange rate is completely working in your favor right now, making it very affordable to travel across Europe and South America and other places where your money goes basically further than it ever has before. But who this hurts are other countries that need to buy commodities in US dollars. Things like wheat and gasoline and oil and soybeans, things like this are traded a lot of times in US dollars. So these countries have to pay more for these things than they already do, on top of already fighting big time inflation. So you can see how that could become problematic pretty quickly. I'm just getting hammered by the wind out here. It's really starting to pick up, guys. It's like on and off like that. They got these mounds of sand out here since they've been doing this beach restoration, and oftentimes what ends up happening once we get one of these hurricanes is it will take away so much of this sand so fast that they just laid down out here. It's not even funny. You can already kind of see just how much of it has disappeared just by looking down this way, because when they first laid all this down, the sand used to be like out to here, and now it's already up this way. So we're not even really getting hit by this storm. So imagine when we have a hurricane actually come to the east coast over here in Miami, this beach just completely gets decimated, and that's why they got to do these beach restorations, otherwise there is no beach. But also, if you are a company that exports your goods to other countries, then this can be problematic for you, because you essentially are going to make less money. So it's good for importers, bad for exporters. And also, this can be bad for US tourism, because the dollar is so strong. a lot of people that come here internationally from other countries are going to be way less likely to come and visit because the exchange rate is horrible and a US vacation is going to cost top dollar. So it's not really good for those things either. So while it might sound good at first that we have a strong dollar, there are consequences to this, guys, and I think we're going to see the overreaching effects of this over the next couple of years, because this is just going to slow down the economy even more, if you ask me. So we literally have the perfect storm brewing. We have the ultra high price of the dollar that hurts every other country in the world, and even some local businesses and tourism companies here in the United States. And also we have record high inflation, we have high interest rates. So everything out there right now is basically designed to, bring this whole thing down. That's what I think is happening. I'm sure my hair looks really funny when I'm walking like that and it's like blowing it up. But whatever, I could care less. I'm out here to show you guys what's going on, not to look pretty. There was a great article out of Forbes today talking about how older Americans are starting to have to work longer than they ever expected due to this rising inflation situation that we have right now. The number of workers that are over 75 years old are expected to increase in the marketplace for jobs about 96.5% over the next 10 years, guys. So basically what they're saying here is, if you think you're going to retire or you're getting close to retirement age, then you better take a hard look at your finances and see if it's possible to even do that, because a lot of people who are at retirement age are simply being forced to work longer, not because they want to, but because they have no other option. It's the only way to keep food on the table. So this is something that's kind of a growing concern, that retirement could be over. And I kind of covered this a little bit in previous videos, and my thoughts on this are that I think we just saw a time in history. We saw like the golden age of retirement, right? When people could retire off of pensions and life was stable and the cost of living was stable. But now everything is completely turned upside down, and it's probably one of the worst times in history to actually be coming up on retirement age. Because according to this article, over half of people who are retired rely completely on Social Security as their main source of income. And the buying power of Social Security checks has literally gone down 30% over the last 20 years. So can you imagine that 30% of your purchasing power has been wiped away with inflation and the increase in cost of living? That's definitely not sustainable. And about 30% of people right now who are 55 and older have zero saved for retirement. They have no retirement fund, they have no 401k, they have no pension, they have nothing, guys. So 20 years comes up pretty fast, because going from 55 to 75, 20 years, that's it. Are you going to be able to save enough money in those 20 years to retire? Well, my guess is probably no. If you couldn't do it in the first 55 years, then it probably isn't going to happen in the remaining 20 either. And to make things even worse, well, obviously this isn't a bad problem, but it is if you don't have any money. People are living longer now than they used to, and even if you do have money saved up for retirement, it's to the point where it's not enough, because you're living longer than you might have anticipated or saved for. And if you get to that point, that's probably one of the worst positions to be in. So they're saying that some of the things that older people are turning to try and compensate for their income is they're turning to remote work, which we just talked about, but maybe isn't the best time in history to try to get into that. But hey, there's still probably companies out there who are hiring remote, so it's worth looking into, especially if you have mobility issues, or it's hard to get back and forth to an actual job. That might be something to look into. There's also way more contract work available than ever before, and basically that just means that there's a lot of companies out there looking to hire you for a one-time job or a one-time gig, Like in real estate, for example, people will hire a virtual assistant to put together a list of names and phone numbers and make calls. That's like one example of, just a one-time gig. So there's a lot of things out there that exist now due to the global economy and the internet, things like that. And if you're willing to start some little side business or side hustle, this is a good time to do it. Look at what people are going to be needing in this recession is a good place to start. You can look at different business opportunities and skills that you already have to maybe start a side business. And that's one of the most successful ways that retirees can actually bring in some extra money, because you have so much to bring to the table in terms of wisdom and experience. So I hope this isn't something that's happening to a lot of you out there when it comes to maybe being forced out of retirement and going back to work, or maybe just never being able to retire at all. But unfortunately, I feel like it is going to be the new reality, because I don't think the cost of living is going to be going down anytime soon. And it's basically the only way that people can survive. So as much as it sucks, it's the reality. Another thing that we're seeing right now is more CEOs and more bigwig executives at big companies start to complain that now the Fed is overcorrecting and they're raising the interest rates too high, because they're looking at lagging data for the economy when it comes to home prices and fuel prices, food prices, things like that. And they think that the Fed is going to completely tank the economy with these interest rate hikes, because now they're taking it too far. And it's funny that they're saying this, because the reality is that things are still really expensive out there, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can attest to that nothing is getting cheaper right now. And the reason why these big wigs are saying this is because they have the most to lose, right? If you're in charge of a big company, especially one that's publicly traded on the stock market, that's hemorrhaging money right now, and your share price is dropping through the floor, then of course you're going to do and say anything you possibly can in hopes that it's going to have an influence to reverse these interest rate hikes. But so far they have not done that, and I'm willing to bet there's going to be another one coming this year, and maybe even into next year. So get ready, guys, because the Fed is tanking all the markets. The stock market, they're tanking the housing market, they're going to be tanking demand for different types of businesses, all types of things. So this is going to be an ongoing issue throughout 2023, pretty much undoubtedly at this point. Now, if you made it this far, you probably enjoyed the crazy hair and the hurricane beach walk. I don't do this in every video, but I like showing you guys different things around Miami here while we talk about important things with the housing market and business and the economy in general. So make sure you're subscribed so you see the next video. And if you don't want to wait, you can check out the next one on the screen right over here, and I'll catch you over in the next one.